Hi, this is Mark Arnold with yet another episode of Fun Ideas Podcast. And today I have a returning guest who's also been my co-author on a couple of books. One is a book about Crazy Magazine that came out in 2024, and another is a book about the comic book Plop. That one's not out yet and is probably due out in 2026, early 2026, but it is complete. In the meantime, we've written various other books separately and with other co-authors and blah blah blah. And one of the ones that my co-author here is, I should say his name, is Mark Slade. How are you?
Hey, Mark. I'm good. How are
And
you?
one of the things we all do is, besides write with each other, we write with other co-authors, and we write books about other subjects solo. So, um, I know you're working on a book about canon, which is the William Conrad show, and then
Yeah, great
William
show.
William Conrad was also on another show with another book that you happen to write and just came out, and it's about the series Nero Wolfe. But Nero Wolfe is more than
Yes.
just a short-lived TV series with William Conrad. I found out, it is a comic strip. It was a comic book. It was a lot of novels originally, and
Yeah,
yeah.
like 72, 74. I can't remember.
And
It's a lot.
there's even another TV series and radio shows and stuff like that, but we'll cover all that stuff. So anyway, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm familiar with Nero Wolfe mainly because of the William Conrad version. That's probably the first time I
Oh,
ever
okay.
heard of him. I honestly didn't know it was a lengthy novel series. I figured there was some connection to literary world because a lot of detectives like James Bond will throw him in there, and
Right.
Sherlock Holmes and you name it have had book series, but I didn't know really about the origins or anything, or that it was such a lengthy history. So I guess what we can say, tell me your interest in Nero Wolfe and how you got involved with it, and then how it expanded where you wanted to do all the research to do this book.
Well, I think it kind of started my older brother Doug, which I put in the afterword. He was a member of like the book guild or whatever the heck it was, and would get a free book. And he was probably expecting Ed McBain or Ross McDonald, and he gets Nero Wolf book, which I don't remember which one it was, but he kind of had this look on his face, and I said, "What? What's wrong?" He said, "You don't like Nero Wolf?" And he goes, "Yeah, he's all right, I guess." And he just kind of throws it down. And I pick it up and I start reading. I thought it was okay. I mean,
Had had he read one
you
before,
know,
or you don't know?
no, had he? Yes, I'm sure
Okay,
he had.
so he
I'm
wasn't a
sure he
fan.
had.
Okay, okay,
Not really.
okay.
No, I think he didn't exactly know that there was hard-boiled detective with drawing room mystery.
Hmm.
That's kind of the Rex Stout's genius in that. He kind of mixed both.
Hmm.
And if it was just a drawing room mystery, I wouldn't have been interested.
Hmm.
I don't care much for Miss Marple and all that. I think it's dull. But it's genius that he has his operatives and his partner, well, not partner, that's his employee. Um, Archie is his employee, and Archie goes out and he does the legwork. He's the one that gets beat up. He's the one that gets a gun drawn on him.
Hmm.
And he's also Archie's character, which I like a whole lot. I like it almost more than Nero Wolf's, is that he's a good liar. And when he comes up against the police, he's always got a story why he's there when there's a body before the police even gets there. And, you know, my mother sent me here with a note, silly things like that. He's a good smart aleck.
Hmm.
But yeah, well, I'll just go ahead and say that Fer de Lance was written in 1934, and that was the first book.
Hmm.
And Stout had already had two or three other books, sort of kind of melodramatic soap opera type books, like some woman getting pregnant and she's going to have a hard time in life, and, things like that, or some businessman who's conning everybody. Those were his straight novels, but that got him into publishing, which is funny. Stout had a whole bunch of other jobs before this, like a lot of those pulp writers,
Hmm.
and he just stumbled on pulp and started making money right away.
Hmm.
And Fer de Lance took off. They even had that movie version of it, which was okay. It's an
Hmm.
okay movie. It's better than the second one. Second one's awful. But those are only two movie versions of Nero Wolfe.
Hmm.
But been quite a few TV shows.
Hmm.
So, and in all, it's like 72, 74 books.
Wow.
Uh, I think about, was it 40 short stories?
Okay.
I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I think it's
Okay.
something like that. But yeah. So,
Now, did it start off as a book then, or was it short stories
oh yeah.
first? Okay. So,
Uh, well, actually, no. It started out as a short story, but it was
okay.
kind of it kind of evolved. I think the first couple of short stories evolved into novels.
Got
They're
it.
like
Okay.
serialized, like they
Okay.
used to do.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So,
here's something
but
interesting,
the,
though.
okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say they also did a Nero Wolfe cookbook of all things, and he even says in his interview he didn't have anything to do with it except for they used his recipes,
Hmm.
but he didn't write the book. Editors of the books they put it together,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was great that he just went ahead and said I didn't have anything to do with that book. My name was on it. So
Now, tell me a little bit about Rex Stout. I mean, you said he wrote some other books, but I mean, what was his background basically?
uh, basically, well, apparently he was very intelligent.
Hmm.
I can't remember the IQ that they said.
Mm.
I mean, I'll read you a little bit of his biography.
Okay.
He was born in 1886 in Indiana, and he tried several trades. He was a bookkeeper in the Navy. Um, he worked as an usher at an opera house in Topeka.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, he traveled around the United States. I mean, but he ended up having, like I said, he had more success as a writer, as a pulp writer.
Mm.
And it wasn't pulp like Robert E. Howard. It was mainly mysteries, is
Mm.
what he wrote,
Mm.
and probably straight dramatic. Uh, his first book was How Like a God. uh, and, the Seed on Wind, silly titles like that. But like I said, it was basically
Yeah, I froze up there.
that ended up, yeah,
Hmm.
Columbia's ended up being the one that put it out, and he hated it. He didn't like the movies. You know,
Hmm.
it starred Edward Arnold, which I
Hmm.
think I think he's the father of Eddie Arnold, but I'm not
Yeah.
too certain on that.
No
I didn't go
relation.
that
No
far.
relation to me. I wish, but
Oh well, I was hoping you say he's like a great grandpa.
yeah. Well,
Um,
not to my knowledge, Anyway.
so yeah, but this movie also starred first appearance of Rita Hayworth,
Hmm.
but she wasn't going by that name.
No, I know her.
Uh,
I forgot her real name, but yeah, it's completely different. Yeah.
yeah, it's
It's a
but
Hispanic name, I know. Um,
I mean, I think the worst part of it is the departure, which is kind of what the radio shows from the 40s and 50s. They wouldn't use his original stories,
mm,
and while the acting is really good on a lot of those, and in the movies the acting is subpar.
yeah,
Uh, it doesn't ring true. If you don't use his stories, then what are you watching it for?
yeah.
Like in Fer de Lance movie, they created a whole new character of Mazzy Gray, who is Archie's girlfriend.
Hmm,
And the thing about Archie, he could never be nailed down. He had several girlfriends,
hmm,
um, which they used in the Timothy Hutton version, which was good. And they used all his books and short stories for the Timothy
Oh,
Hutton
okay.
version.
So that's why you're
A
saying
and E,
that's the best version. I think you said that before we went on the air.
yeah, of TV. The best radio version is 1980s. It was only like I think 12 episodes of that one, and
Hmm.
that had Mavor Moore. It's a Canadian version, Ed
Okay.
Mavermore was Nero Wolfe, and Don Franks, which you might know Don Franks from his acting in animations. He
Mm.
was on quite a bit of animations.
Hmm.
Um, but that one is the best one of the radio version, and a lot of people will disagree. You know,
Hmm.
they'll say that what they like would be, Sidney Greenstreet's version,
Hmm.
who was a great actor and he
Yeah.
was really good on that. But they had like silly spy stories in that version. But
Okay.
you
Now,
know,
in the book, I mean, you said
yeah,
Greenstreet. We're also talking about William Conrad, but then Timothy Hutton isn't really heavy set. So is Nero Wolfe supposed to be heavy set, or what's he supposed to
yeah.
be like in the
He's not.
books? In the books, what's he
Oh,
supposed to be like?
he's heavy set, but Timothy Hutton doesn't play Nero Wolfe. He
Oh,
plays Archie
okay.
Goodwin.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay, you said
Yeah,
him, and so
no.
okay. And I
It's a
haven't seen I
Canadian
I
actor.
haven't seen those. So okay, is that Maury Chaykin then?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, a
all right. I
great,
remember.
great Maury.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, Sharon Doyle, who was the she was the story editor. Was it her that said that, or was it the producer of the A&E versions? Well, yeah, I think they both said. The producer is. I'm sorry. Let me. Oh man. Uh, Michael Jaffe was the producer of those with Timothy Hutton, and he produced a whole bunch of stuff. But
Mm.
they both said that Maury Chaykin couldn't remember his lines,
Eh.
so they had him plastered all over the place.
Hmm.
So I mean, and Nero Wolfe's character, he doesn't really get up and move as much. Although there are a couple episodes where he leaves the house, which is another thing of Rex Stout's character, Nero Wolfe. He was agoraphobic,
Mm.
and he was also, I think, like 400 to 500 pounds, 400 pounds.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
moving around would be hard for him, but he loved to eat.
Hmm.
Loved to eat. He had also been in World War One and had
Hmm.
seen many of his friends die, which I think I said that in there was that might have been one of the reasons why he was afraid to leave his house. He also didn't trust women because his first wife, I guess, had died, and his love for her carried on after her death. But he
Hmm.
didn't like to be touched. Was
Hmm.
another thing.
Hmm.
So it makes it interesting to be a private detective. I
Right.
mean, you never leave the house, but you got all the facts. So how can you solve the mysteries? Well,
Hmm.
he uses his operatives to gather the clues and you know
Right.
things like that.
Now, are there any other? And I'm speaking solely about the books right now. I mean,
Okay,
obviously, TV and movies take creative license and stuff like that, especially if they're not following
right.
the novels. But in the original novels, are there any other continuing characters, or just the main
Oh
two?
yes.
Okay, so what are
Oh
kind of
no.
name some of the regular characters that are in the
Well,
books? Then did they bring them over into these movies and TV shows?
yeah, yes, they did.
Okay.
Fritz Brenner was the cook,
Hmm.
and he was a Frenchman. And him and Wolf always argued over the right type of seasoning.
Hmm.
Um, whether Wolf didn't like some of the meals that was fixed for him because it wasn't meat, wasn't red meat. It could be a leftover, and while he didn't mind leftovers, but if there was something else that could be cooked, he would blow up and scream and throw a
Hmm.
tantrum.
Hmm.
But he also had his operatives, which was Saul Panzer, Fred Durkin, which I think is I'm trying to remember is might be Durkin is the one. No, it's Ori. Ori Cather is the one that Archie doesn't like and always thinks he's after his job as being the main.
That's cool.
Which
Okay.
which yeah, they always
Uh,
had some pretty good stuff. And of
yeah.
course the police. They always had Inspector Kramer.
Hmm.
Inspector Kramer is a mainstay, and Pearlie
Hmm.
Stebbins, who is works with Kramer, and they're always trying to arrest Archie,
Hmm.
or trying to catch Wolf in a lie so they can yank his license. But there are times when they have to use him And that does carry on into the TV show and the movies.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Now, what's the general tone of the novels? Are they serious? Are they kind of lighthearted, or a little bit of both, or what?
a little bit of both, but they
Okay.
can get pretty serious.
Okay.
The murders are never serious; they're
Yeah,
pretty gruesome
I bet.
compared to like Miss Marple and those. It's
Hmm.
never. It is poisons. There's poisons, but it's never a poison by a fish
Hmm.
like Agatha Christie would have some silly thing like that.
Hmm.
I mean, there's shootings, there's hangings.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, you name it, it's been done
Hmm.
in his books. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Now, overall, how does Nero Wolfe compare to other literary detectives?
What in my opinion,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
ranks at. I think he ranks number four. You
Okay.
know, I mean, my favorite detectives are always the hard boiled ones.
Mm.
Of course, I'm wearing a Rockford T-shirt, so of course,
Yeah.
people who get beat up and can't pay their bills.
Yeah.
So Lou Archer's my favorite. I think Lou Archer's the best out of all of them. There's so much in those books, but we're not talking about Lou Archer.
Yeah. Yeah. How does
So
it compare to like, say, the Thin Man or what's other detectives I can think of?
he's
Yeah.
up there. Sam
Okay.
Spade, he's up
Yeah,
there.
Sam
He's up
Spade.
there.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
said, he's up there at least in the top five for me.
Yeah.
Sam Spade is great,
Hmm.
and like I said, I would rank Lou Archer at number one. You
Okay.
know, as far as books, I would rank Ed McBain's 87th Precinct number two, even
Wow.
though
Okay.
that's not private detective, but it's procedural and it's still them detecting and solving crimes. So yeah,
Okay. Now, when was Nero Wolf the most popular? Because it looks like when I'm going through your book, that it was so popular that there was actually a monthly mystery magazine that came out, kind of like
yeah,
Ellery Queen and Alfred
and it didn't
Hitchcock and all that.
last. I think
Yeah.
it lasted four issues.
Oh, okay.
He also co-edited a mystery anthology, which is called Rue Morgue,
Hmm.
and probably from the 40s to about the late 70s would
Okay.
be mid 70s. After he died, I
Okay.
think they revived him, like you said, for a TV movie.
Hmm.
Oh, but before I say that, did you know this that William Shatner starred as Archie Goodwin?
No.
It was a pilot episode in 1959, and
Oh,
it
before Star
it
Trek. Okay.
didn't. Yeah, it didn't get picked up, and it should
Excuse
have.
me.
It's really good. You could find it on YouTube and
Okay.
Internet Archive.
I was going to ask
It's
if it was
really
any. Yeah. Hmm.
it's really good. It was a 30-minute program. Why they chose to do 30 minutes, I don't know, but it was okay. But the other show between it and the other show that they were CBS was trying to think of picking up was Perry Mason.
Mm.
So they picked up Perry Mason instead,
Oh.
which was a good choice too, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
But there's been Italian versions, there's been German versions, there's been a Russian version.
Hmm.
Um, but for us, it was Thayer David. I don't know if you remember who he is,
Not sure.
that character actor.
Okay.
He played Nero Wolfe, and it was a 1979 movie,
Okay.
TV movie for ABC,
Hmm.
and ABC hated it. They
Yeah.
said it was too slow. So the producers of that, when it didn't go over so well, I think it was 1980, they decided to do another one, and they asked Win Conrad and Lee Horsley.
Yep.
Lee Horsley played Archie Goodwin
Hmm.
in a '70s kind of updated version,
Right.
and they're both really good. I don't think the TV show is very good.
Yeah.
Really, it's too '70ish. Like the first episode, they have I can't remember the kid's name, but because they did a version of the Golden Spiders, which seems to be everybody's pick to do the do it as a pilot episode. It's a very good book, though. It's about a little kid who sees a woman who's wearing golden earrings, a golden spider earrings, and she's in a taxi or a car, and she's mouthing him, "Get help!" like she's being kidnapped. And he goes near a wolf, pays him in the quarters or whatever. And so Wolf takes the case, and then the kid goes out in the street and he gets hit by a car. So
Wow.
they have to solve that crime as well.
Hmm.
But the little kid in this version, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
He says that he thought the woman was a fox, and I'm like, that's not the kind of language that would be in Rex Stout's books.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
It's just I'm
So
not very familiar with the character. Unfortunately, the William Conrad version is the only version I've seen, but it's mainly because I was well, still am a William Conrad fan. I mean, it's like, yeah, you're
right.
doing the book on Cannon. I go, well, I liked Cannon, and as you probably know, he was the narrator on Rocky and Bullwinkle, and
Oh yeah, a lot of stuff.
Gunsmoke on the radio, and Jake and the Fat Man, and everything else. So anytime
And
William
and the
Conrad
fugitive,
showed up, yeah. Yeah, I would watch. But I agree
right.
with you. I wasn't too impressed with Nero Wolfe as a series. It didn't grab me, so I didn't pursue it any further to try to see, oh, is there a book or is there this or that? It was just like, it's a flop for Conrad, and I thought Jake and the Fat Man was a better job, or they did a better job because it's a little more tongue in cheek
Well,
and kind of lighthearted and stuff.
did you know?
Yeah,
Did you know they tried to get Orson Welles to play him?
yeah, yeah,
That would have been good.
yeah.
But Lee Horsley was good. He
Yeah.
was, for somebody who hadn't acted very much. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what he had done before.
Well, he did stuff
He
after,
kind
I
of
know.
had.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
well, Matt Houston
Yeah, exactly.
and whatever that western was that was kind of short lived on
Oh, yeah.
CBS. I think it was a spinoff of Jane Seymour's western, which
Oh, the the Dr. Quinn medicine woman.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
let's not talk about that. That's awful. But he's really. I mean, the acting is mostly good
Yeah.
as far as them two. But
Yeah.
they also pick another guy. I can't remember his name.
Hmm.
There's another guy who plays Inspector Kramer, and he's better at playing bad guys and businessmen. And he's playing Inspector Kramer. Inspector Kramer is crass, wears rumpled coats, and smells bad, and chews on cigars. Huh, kind of sounds like Columbo, but he's a lot stronger character than this guy plays him, and that's why I was really glad when A&E came along, which I had never seen. I didn't even know it was on until my mother called me.
Mm.
Uh, so my daughter was born, and I think she just wanted to find out about my daughter, and so she hadn't seen her in a few days. But she said, "Oh, by the way, there's a show on I think you would like. It's on A&E, and it's Nero Wolfe." And she had read quite a few of the Nero Wolves, and
Hmm.
she said, "I just love Timothy Hutton. He's so cute."
Yeah.
But she also said that the guy playing Comet Maury Chaykin
Yeah.
is really good at this. He's just so mean and hateful, and I just laugh at him. But which is true in the TV series when you find out.
All right.
Um, yeah.
Now, and the book series, correct me if I'm wrong. Rex Stout died in 1986. Does that sound right? Is it, or am I
75.
75? Okay, maybe
Yeah.
or maybe that's when the new novels started. Was it 86? I don't know.
Oh, with Robert Goldsmith.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I've only read one,
Goldsboro. Yeah,
Goldsboro.
yeah,
I've only read one of those, and
yeah.
they're fine,
Okay.
but it's
That,
not Rick Stout.
yeah.
It's
But I
not
was just
his.
asking if he carried it on good. Well, sometimes authors
Um,
know how to do it. Sometimes authors are just like completely different. You're like, you know.
no, no, he does a pretty good job. I mean,
Okay.
it's let's just say it's just bland,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
nothing against him because I'm sure his novels outside of Nero Wolfe world is really good because he
Yeah.
can write really well.
Yeah.
It's just it's not Rex Stout. Rex Stout had crazy enough. I don't if you go back and read his interview that I found,
Mhm.
he talks about these characters like they're real people. He knows their height, their weight, all kinds of background, which I guess to be successful at doing a series, you have to
Yeah.
have that in your head. I don't think he ever took notes.
Hmm.
Like like Ian Fleming, I don't think they ever took notes. They just wrote it. They knew it in their head.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Mike Hammer novels.
Hmm. Mickey
Just
Spillane.
knew it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mickey Spillane just knew it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He could just go down and write another book about him. He just knew the character so well.
Yeah.
And yeah, but there was a comic strip in the mid '50s. It was very short lived. It only lasted less than a month, and I think
How did you find out about that? I mean, I guess research, but yeah, I mean,
Mark, Mark, I'm not gonna lie. So much of it was online. So much of
oh,
it,
okay.
and the Wolf Pack, which is the Nero Wolfe archives, I think it's a
Yeah.
website.
Yeah.
Such fans that they had. I mean, some of these people are diehard fans, like diehard Beatle fans. I mean, they know
Mm,
everything.
okay.
And there's this one guy who I guess he tracked it down. I'm not sure how he got a hold of them. Maybe his grandfather had them. I
Yeah.
don't know. But I found them, and they had it on their website.
Wow.
But let me see if I can read this. It's
Yeah.
very small. Well, anyway, there was a letter, and I assume it was from Rex Stout. I think he was unhappy with the comic strip that
Mm,
appeared in I think it was only like 8 or 9 papers,
wow.
mostly in the Northeast
Mm,
of the United States,
yeah.
like New York and Connecticut. Uh, he just didn't like there was some dialogue that they used, and they were supposed to refer to him before they even put it out. He's supposed to see it, and then he would put a stamp of approval. I guess they didn't do that, and I guess that was it.
Yeah.
But they had Mike Roy. He was the writer,
Mm.
and they had who was the
Well,
no John Broome was the writer. I'm sorry,
yeah.
and Mike Roy was the artist. But
Now,
there were several other artists.
John Broome I knew from DC Comics because he wrote a lot of the
Right?
early superhero stuff. I think Green Lantern, if I remember correctly, and stuff like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
Green
Yeah.
Lantern. I think he wrote a lot of the Flash when they revived the Flash in the
Yeah.
'50s,
Yeah.
and I believe we might know him too because of the '70s, the Bronze Age.
Hmm.
He might have wrote some House of Mystery.
Yeah.
He might have wrote something that ended up in Plop. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long,
The
long
one
career.
the one thing I do remember is he never went to conventions, and then shortly before he died, he decided to show up to San Diego, and I happened to be there, and he showed up, and everybody was like fawning over him because it's like, oh my God, John Broome, and they interviewed him and everything like that. I don't know what happened to that interview. You'd have to check with San Diego Comic Convention, but he was very amiable and everything. You just said, I didn't think people remembered. And then
Yeah,
the next year he died. It's like, wow, so that was his only convention appearance ever, for comic
that
books.
that's
Yeah.
funny. You said that. You said that because when Chauncey and Lothar and I were interviewing all the '70s Marvel Bronze guys, and Marv Wolfman was the main one we interviewed, and that was one of the questions was, did the older guys respect the genre of comic books? And what he said was they didn't know to respect it because they didn't think anybody read them.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of the way John
That's why they didn't
Broome
do
was.
conventions.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he went into different fields and just lost track of everything, and
yeah,
I think everybody lost track of him. And then when they finally tracked him down, I think initially he probably said no, and then eventually came around saying, what the heck," And it's like, it
right.
turned out he was totally revered and loved and everything. And so I guess it's a good send off in your life. It's too bad he couldn't make more appearances, but that was the one and
Right,
only.
right.
But I'm just happy I was there because I didn't know who he was. And so here I'm learning who he was. I say, wow, that's who he was. And then he dies. And it's like, wow, okay. Well, at least I got to see him,
Did
you know.
did you stand in line to get
I I didn't
a
get his autograph.
autograph or
No, I didn't. I just
or
saw the
talk
talk.
to him or
I
anything?
didn't talk to
Oh,
him either. It was a big crowd. But I
oh
just was
yeah.
there because I was told, it's like this guy's a golden age guy. He's one of the few left. He's never done a convention. So I said, oh, well, I better pay attention to this. He might be somebody to
Right.
talk to. And, over the years, certain people, I'll just name names like Jerry Robinson and Will
Yeah.
Eisner and stuff like that, they'd appear over and over. So they kind of became back in the 90s when they would do these conventions, kind of your buddies. It's like, so every year you just say, "Hey, how's it going?" And then gradually they all started to pass away. But, Broom was just one and done. And it's like, oh man, because
And
it
that's
would have been
something.
nice to see him again. But, hey,
Right.
you know.
That's true. Yeah.
Um, but the other thing is, you said, well, it's just on the internet, one of my first loves, you and I know each other's history pretty well, but it's like besides humor magazines and things like that, is I loved comic strips. I still do. But
Yeah.
I had that big book, it's in the other room, but the compilation of the history of the comic strip or something in the World Book of
By Les Daniels,
yeah,
maybe.
something like yeah, it came out in the
Yeah.
mid 70s and it
Yeah.
supposedly it
Man.
it bragged that it had every comic strip. This wasn't in there. Nero Wolfe wasn't in there. And it's like there's a lot of stuff that wasn't in there, but it's like
No.
nobody
Well.
knew, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
and if
I
it only
mean,
lasted a few weeks or months,
that's.
it's like, oh, yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's the way it goes. I mean,
Yep.
sure. There's a lot of. Wasn't there some sort of Mad magazine type comic strip that they tried to get going, and I don't even know if it ever got into production
Well, the only one
with
that
Alfred E. Newman.
Yeah, the one that did get in, they did a spy versus spy one, but it only
Oh,
lasted a
okay.
couple of years. I know they tried an Alfred one, and I think they ended up putting that in Mad Kids, which was short-lived. But
Ah.
and then the spy versus spy one, uh, it was drawn by our friend Dave Manek, who works for Pop
Oh, okay.
and
Great.
Crazy and everything, and he did it with Duck Edwing, who's also a crazy man, and
Yeah.
and and a plot man, and but it didn't last very long. I think it was like everything else with Mad. It got kind of stretched too thin, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
why would you go to the newspaper to read Spy versus Spy when you could just
To
read it in
me,
Mad?
the only way you could do Alfred E. Newman is if you kind of did it as a more adult
Yeah,
thing. I mean, Alfred E. Newman isn't for kids to
yeah,
me. I mean, I might be wrong, but I just never saw that. Even as a kid, when I read it,
yeah,
I knew he was supposed to be, you know, slightly raunchier or,
yeah,
that kind of humor didn't fit
yeah.
kids.
But they still kind of pass him off as a kid and everything, and
I know. I know.
and yeah, I agree with you. I don't usually think of him as a kid, even though they try to like I said, it was in Mad Kids. They called him Little Alfred, and he just get, and they were just little strips they had for the brief time that the magazine existed. There's
Yeah.
him getting into little mischief things, but it was kind of like a watered down Dennis the Menace,
Yeah.
It's like it wasn't very good, and it's like,
Which I'm not sure you probably know the issue, and you probably know who drew it. And but remember how they finally put it in there how he lost his tooth
oh yeah, I don't
when he was
remember.
watching
Yeah,
some guy's wife. He was peeping in on her when she
yeah,
was
yeah,
taking a shower, and the guy caught him and punched him.
yeah. So anyway, we digress. So,
Oh yeah, yeah,
um, now it seems like other than the books, the radio series was probably the most successful. There's multiple ones of
yes.
them, but what was the longest lived or most successful one that you can remember?
It was probably Sydney Greenstreet.
Okay.
Yeah, and the radio show came. I think that came right after the movies. But yeah, I think that was on for at least 4 or 5 years. Um, and the rest of them were kind of 1 year, 3 years, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they had other actors play, like Francis Xavier Bushman, which I have no idea who he is until I started researching this, and apparently he'd been in quite a few things.
Yeah, he's done a lot.
Um,
I can't name anything off the top of my head. I'd have to look him up, but I know he's in something that I love, It's like,
yeah, yeah. So, but to me, the best one is the Nero Wolfe one from CBC. Mavor Moore and Don Franks,
Okay.
because, like I said, they based everything on already published works,
Okay.
mostly the short stories,
Hmm.
and but all the actors seem to have really good chemistry with each other, which is kind of strange over the years.
Hmm.
You know, Timothy Hutton and Maury Chaykin had great chemistry. Win Conrad and oh gosh, sorry,
Lee
Lee
Horsley.
Horsley. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
good
yeah.
chemistry. You know, they knew
Yeah.
how to play off each other
Right.
and things like that.
Hmm.
But I think the best thing about the CBC version is that while they have an announcer at first, after that, there's no narrator except for what it's supposed to be is Archie. Archie is the narrator. Archie's the narrator in the books. You know, it's in first person,
Hmm.
and Archie explains things in between his smart aleck back talk to everybody. He explains why
Hmm.
he says that, or he's in a bad mood, or you know, how would you like to be accosted in a doorway by three policemen and
Hmm.
their wives? You know, stuff like that. So
Hmm. Now,
but
are these easily accessible online too?
yes,
Okay,
oh
good.
yeah, oh
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
I mean, Internet Archive's got all of that. YouTube. There's even some Spotify podcasts that are like mystery based. So they got all the classic radio shows, and then they'll add the CBC one,
Mhm.
the ones from the 40s and the 50s. You know,
Okay.
so
I
yeah.
may have heard one of the Sydney Greenstreet ones at one point, but I didn't even think about it being Nero Wolfe. I was just more into, oh, it's Sydney Greenstreet.
And,
I'm
and you
just,
probably didn't realize it was a
yeah.
Nero Wolfe one because they threw in like Nazis and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
this
I'm an avid old radio show listener, but I don't always
right.
pay attention to what shows I'm listening to. Obviously, I like stuff like Jack Benny and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But as far as detective stuff, I mean, probably Dragnet's the thing I've probably listened to the most, something like that. You know,
I've
and
never I've never listened to Dragnet on the radio. I
well,
really love the old black and white one, and the '70s one
yeah.
or late '60s is hilarious.
Yeah.
But
Actually, it's kind of funny. The TV show version, the early one, the 51, the
yeah,
1950s ones, borrowed radio scripts and just redid them for
yeah,
television. So if you hear them,
right.
you'll go, "Hey, I've seen this one before," and it was just done like 10 years before on the radio. So same script, everything, it's like, okay.
I I happened to catch I think on satellite around here. There's a Jewish TV station,
Oh, okay.
and they were showing Dragnet,
Huh.
and the episode I'm not sure what year it was. It looked like because it was really whited out, black and white. It was a
Mm,
bad version of it, but it could have been mid 50s. You probably know the years it was on for
mm,
they before he went off with it, but had something to do with a guy who was a pedophile, and I'm telling you, the story was very very rough,
yeah.
and the way they treated the guy, they didn't. Well, of course, I guess this is before Miranda rights, but they didn't even put handcuffs on him. They beat him up first and then put
Yeah.
handcuffs on him.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's really hard boiled. That's
Yeah.
and they talked about setting him
Well,
up for another crime.
yeah. Well, these are supposed to be in Dragnet at least, true cases, like they say,
Yeah,
only the names have been changed. So, it's like I don't think Jack Webb tended to embellish too much other than making it that short staccato type delivery that he tended to do and have everyone else do, you know.
yeah.
But that's just kind of
Which
him, but
I don't know though. It's kind of brilliant.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
different style of acting. It's kind of
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
I
I
mean, Dan
mean,
Aykroyd would agree.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, it makes it stand out. But I'm a Jack Webb fan, so I liked his Adam
Yeah.
12. I liked Emergency. I liked all the other stuff that he
Oh,
did. So there you go.
I just learned so much about Emergency. We've been kind of watching it
Yeah,
here. A podcast called The Retroist. I don't know if you ever heard of it. The
I've heard of
guy
it. Yeah.
delves into it. he does a really good job for it to be only 30 minutes.
Hmm.
And I mean, he talks about a lot of stuff which I didn't know about Emergency. When I was a kid, I didn't watch it. I
Yeah.
wasn't that. I wanted to watch Barney Miller, WKRP.
Yeah. I
But
watched it occasionally.
now,
Yeah, I didn't watch it till recently more. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I had a weird thing happening. I was telling my wife this on the playground, probably fourth or fifth grade, might have been fourth, and some kid comes up to me and says, are you Team Gage or Team DeSoto, which is the two main paramedics?" And I looked at him and I said, my team is the Cowboys. I don't know what you're talking about.
I probably would have said I'm Team Dixie.
Well, yeah,
There we go.
exactly.
Fans of
Or Team
Emergency.
Joe,
Yeah,
or Team Joe.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I'm with you. A lot of these shows I didn't watch that closely. But that's what I love about DVD and streaming is like I'm playing
Yeah,
catch up on all this old stuff. I still try to watch newer shows, but I'd rather watch older shows. I mean,
unfortunately. But I mean, there's some things like I know when Netflix had, I think it was their extension of Heavy Metal,
yeah,
the Heavy Metal movie, Love Plus Robots, Love Plus Death Plus Robots,
yeah, I've heard of that.
which was really good because,
Yeah.
well, they had animations of Joe Lansdale stories and J.G. Ballard. How often does J.G. Ballard get adapted for stuff? Not very often. He's a little too out there,
Hmm.
but I like stuff like that. But I admit, I have a hard time watching some of the newer stuff because
Yeah.
certain things they have in it.
Yeah.
And,
For me, it's just the way they did crime shows. Like, I'll tell you
yeah,
different ones that I didn't watch much then, but I've seen most of or all in recent years. Is like, and we'll keep it on detectives. Like Rockford Files. I used to watch it, on occasion, but my dad loved
right.
it. But
Yeah,
and then in recent years, I've watched them all. Kojak's another one. Columbo's
that's a
another
good
one.
one.
Columbo's one I just kind of the main thing on Columbo is
Yeah,
people forget it wasn't on every week. So,
no,
and I was
TV
never
movies.
a show like that.
They
I
were,
was never that religious that I have to sit down and watch some
well,
mystery movie. So when I flip it on, it's like it might be Columbo, it might be one of the other segments. I don't know. Maybe it's
well,
Simpsons.
here's one for you that I used to hate as a kid, and only recently I probably told you this. I think it's in the Crazy Book because they did a spoof of him. Is oh man, sorry, just forgot my train of thought.
Uh,
Uh, it's Quincy
Quincy,
Medical
yeah.
Examiner.
Yeah, I used to
I
watch
didn't
that.
li-
Yeah, yeah, but I
I
didn't
didn't
watch it
like it as
every
a
week.
kid,
Yeah, yeah.
but now you catch it and you're like, this is actually pretty good, except for his speeches. I got tired of being yelled at
Uh,
for not being human enough.
yeah.
But Jack, I mean, I'm telling you, man, you
Well,
can't get any
Klugman's an
better than
excellent
Jack
actor. I mean,
Klugman.
I could watch Jack Klugman all day. He's one of those guys who
Yeah.
can read out of the phone book and make it interesting.
So, what's the movie? 12 Angry Men,
Oh yeah.
the movie,
Yeah, I have that.
and you've got Henry Fonda.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, I can't remember who else. There's a whole bunch of great character actors, and who
Right.
stands out with Henry Fonda? Jack Klugman.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you know, going toe to toe with Klugman. I mean, with Henry Fonda.
Yeah. And most
Eh,
of those guys, except for Fonda, weren't even known then. They were just
that's
character
true.
actors. They weren't even major character actors. They were basically starting out, and as
Yeah.
Henry Fonda and everybody else. Yeah. But yeah, that's another reason why I like to watch these older shows because, a lot of these people, I'll just go back to Columbo, Peter Falk, I just thought he was kind of a corny guy. He did movies and
Right.
did TV shows and everything. And now I go, he was really good. And it's like now I can go back and say, yeah, he was good, and it's like, but I didn't respect him when he was around. So
No. And it
bad on
takes
me.
to sit down.
Yeah.
It takes to sit down and watch them in a row,
Yeah.
something like that, and then and it just dawns on you like the way they made them. They let you get uh, into it.
Yeah.
You invest and
Yeah.
you invest in the characters, and then all of a sudden you find out why they did it or how
Yeah.
he catches them.
Yeah.
or how they did this.
Yeah.
If you're talking about like Rockford,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people younger than us may not be able to get into that slow, which is the right
Yeah.
way to do it.
Yeah.
The MTV style, which sort of Miami Vice adapted, but even Miami Vice might be too slow for them. Crazy enough.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna worry
Uh,
about them. I'm enjoying it myself. So,
well,
yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
suggested to people,
Yeah.
and they've gone, that's just too dull.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the thing about I'll go on Rockford since you had the T-shirt. I actually liked Rockford. My like I said, my dad watched it, and then I found out my dad really liked James Garner. He'd watch Maverick, and he watched all the other stuff he did.
Right.
So it's like at the time I didn't respect him as much until he got older, and then now I totally like anything that James Garner's done, even if it's a lame Disney movie or something. It's like it's
Or
still
Doris
James
Day.
Garner. Yeah, Doris Day. Yeah.
You'll even watch Doris Day in a movie because
Yes, I
he's in
will.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, exactly, exactly. And he can make those silly um, comedies. I guess are like relationship comedies in the
Yeah,
'60s.
yeah.
Like what's the one with him and Tony Randall and
Was it called
oh man,
Thrill of It All or something like that? Isn't that the name of
I
it?
don't
Or
know.
yeah,
Howard Morris
yeah,
directed it, I believe,
yeah,
and he
yeah.
was the other star. It's where they bought or they paid for an apartment for this girl,
Right.
and the other three, Howard Morris and Tony
Tony Randall.
I can't,
Yeah,
Randall and I can't remember who the other person is. It's another big name star, Walter Matthau, maybe. I think it is what Matthau. But
yeah,
anyway,
maybe. Yeah,
they're looking to have whatever with her, and they're married. And I think James Garner's the only one that was free, and he wasn't interested in her.
yeah,
But they were using the apartment
yeah,
because they had to go on a train
yeah.
to their jobs,
Hmm.
and they'd have to stop over. But she needed a place, and but
Yeah,
it was silly. But they, especially Garner, made it work.
yeah.
It made it really work. You
Yeah,
know.
that's why I think TV show like Rockford worked. Now going back to tie it back into Nero Wolfe. Um, Do you think you said you like the Maury Chayk and Timothy Hutton version the best? So it's like
Yes.
do you think it was the same thing as with James Garner? Those actors made it
Yeah,
work? Is that
I do.
yeah, more than
Well,
even the
no, the
scripts?
stories,
The
the
scripts were good too.
stories,
Okay.
and the writers like Lee did well, Sharon Doyle did well.
Hmm.
So many, but also friends of Timothy Hutton would show up.
Hmm.
People he had worked with in the past would
Right.
show up. And again, yeah, they also here's why it worked. They didn't modernize it.
Mm.
It was nondescript time period. It was, I mean, because all the books are all over the place from 39 to 75 that they might
Hmm.
have used, but they kept it in that 40s and 50s style.
Yeah.
And when they filmed it, I think they filmed it in Toronto. I think it was Toronto. It's one of the Canadian cities.
Hmm.
And they picked the ones that looked the most like New York City and asked people to take out their air conditioners
Yeah.
and paid them. They paid them for that,
Yeah.
and that works. That works. They found all the classic cars that they could find,
Yeah.
but they also probably used, and I'm not really sure the production value because I don't think the people I interviewed could remember all that. Especially Michael Jaffe's pretty elderly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Sharon Doyle might have been on the set a lot, but not as much. They probably filmed at certain angles so that they didn't have to get modern airplanes going across or people in modern 2000s clothing, which
Right.
is when it was made was the year 2000. I think it only lasted 2 seasons,
Yeah.
which is funny enough. That's the last real creative show that A&E had before they started doing reality.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
reason it was
Yeah.
canceled was because they thought it cost too much. But they ended up doing shows like The Glades and oh man, I can't remember. It was a whole bunch of lesser
Yeah.
quality shows. And I say that because what episodes I have caught of those shows, It's like CSI,
Mm.
any version of CSI. When they walk into somebody's house or apartment, the rooms are bare. You got a TV, a couch, and a chair, and that's it. Every episode.
Right.
And those shows that were on A&E did that. They didn't put anything into the production,
Mm.
and probably the reason is they put too much money into the actors.
Right. Yeah.
Which is funny because I don't think Timothy Hutton got paid as much as he would have by doing a feature film.
Yeah.
This was a love
Yeah, I
of
was gonna
his
say he
and
probably
Michael Jaffe.
loved the character or whatever, the novels or whatever.
And
Um,
Michael Jaffe said he was the only choice to play Archie Goodwin.
hmm,
That was it. And Timothy Hutton actually directed quite a few of those.
hmm,
He's a pretty good director, you know,
okay. Well,
in spite of the directing the Cars video Drive.
forgot about that. Now that you said that, oh yeah, I did. But anyway, blah blah blah. So that's yet another thing I'll have to check out. I assume those are readily available, if not on streaming or home video
Yeah.
or something like that.
Well, which one? What are you talking about? The
The
Nero Wolfe mysteries from A&E?
The Maury Shaken version, yeah, with
Yes.
Timothy, yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely available. As far as on streaming like Amazon and stuff, I don't think so. The DVDs you might be able to get from your local library
Okay,
because they got them when they came out,
yeah,
which I think came out 2006, 2007,
okay,
maybe
okay.
something like that.
I've seen them before
But
because there's a few stores that carry new and used
oh,
TV
okay,
show DVDs, and I've just kind of skimmed around and saw Nero Wolfe and
right.
just kept going. But now I might check it out because it sounds interesting. So
Well,
yeah,
on Internet Archive, and also the producer Michael Jaffe said it was not meant to be a TV series. They were meant to be movies at
mm,
first. A&E is the one that pushed them into doing 1 hour movies,
mm,
1 hour TV shows.
mm.
I think there was two of the movies, and then they moved into doing the series.
Now are
And
any
it
of
was
the
all, like I said, huh?
now are any of
It
them
was,
longer, like two-parters, so it'd be like movie length anyway?
yes,
Oh, okay, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
And I think the movies are like 86 minutes,
Oh, okay,
maybe
so they're like
90
short
minutes.
movies, B movies, B pictures.
Well,
Yeah,
2 hours, two
yeah,
hours, I'm
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, very
yeah, you'll
cool.
like it.
Now you have various interviews in the book, and some you did, and
Yeah,
some you got from other sources. Um, the Rex Stout interview, was that a hard one to find, or is it just right there like everything
no.
else? Okay.
Uh, Let me see. I'm sorry, I gotta look that up because I can't remember what magazine I got it from,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
a magazine that's readily available on Internet Archive. I just happened to stumble on it.
Oh, okay.
I happened to stumble on it because what did I do with that? Well, anyways,
But it sounds like he wasn't
uh,
interviewed very often anyway, so you probably got like
I
one or
don't
two
think
times he
so.
was. Yeah.
He might have been hard to interview because
Yeah.
not saying that he was a huffy person exactly, but maybe it took somebody who had to say certain questions that he
Yeah.
wouldn't get bored and get mad. Well,
Yeah.
egos can get in the
Yeah.
way. He's a successful
Well,
writer.
I know some writers, not myself, but they're kind of reclusive, so they don't want to talk to people and everything like that. And I get
Well,
it,
that's true.
Yeah, Um,
Oh, it came from Postscript magazine or PS magazine, which was
okay.
put out by Mercury Press. Didn't Mercury Press put out a whole bunch of science fiction magazines,
I think so, yeah.
like Amazing or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Mhm.
and this came from August 1966,
Right.
which is funny because Ben asked me about that. He said, "Do you have the rights to that?" And I said, "Well, Ben, I think it's public domain. I
Yeah.
don't think I think it's fallen off." And I guess he did some research and he said, "Okay, it's fine."
Yeah.
But I'm glad he checked on it though, because
Yeah.
last thing I would want to do is well, they wouldn't get in trouble. I guess I
Yeah.
would.
Yeah. Well, I know I did a book on the Turtles music group, and
Yeah,
we tried to get interviews with all the band members, surviving band members. Some
right,
people we weren't able to get, but there was existing interviews. So I contacted the people who did those interviews and
right.
asked for their permission. Can we reprint your interview? And they said, in every case, yes, just give us a copy of the book. And I go, cool. So,
Oh,
you know,
right, right,
it was very handy for that book because Mark Volman had just passed away in recent
right,
times, and that was the only way we got him in the book because he had been ill for a while and he just kind of turned us down and everything like that. So
right,
to find a good one that somebody else had done earlier was great because it's like you're Rex Stout, not interviewed very
right.
often. What do you do? But it's like it,
Well,
you know.
well, Brian R. Sheridan gave me an interview that he did with Lee Horsley,
Yeah.
which was great.
Hmm.
It was a great interview. Really nice
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't crap on anybody. He wasn't bitter. He
Yeah.
wasn't bitter that the TV show ended as quickly as it did. And
Yeah.
I think he understood. Actually, he even said in his interview he hadn't seen it until it was on TV Land, which
Yeah.
was at the time of that
Yeah.
interview. I think, what was that, in 2000s when he
Yeah.
was interviewed.
Well, I mean, you can't really knock, a series. If it flops, it flops. It's just
Well,
the whatever the game of acting. It's like you can have something that goes on for 10 years and you're sick of it after the fifth year and leave, like some people do, or you
well,
wish it went on for 10 years and it lasts 5 weeks, or whatever. So it's
in
like
my in my research on the canon, William Conrad was being interviewed at the time of doing, or just after it was canceled, Nero Wolfe, and he loved it. He loved playing that character. Of course, he loved it because he didn't have to be on set so much. I learned that too, that he didn't care much for being on the set.
yeah,
He liked to go fishing a lot
yeah.
or boating, and he said that the canon series, after the third year, if he had to pull out a photograph and ask somebody he was talking to, do you know this person? He was going to throw up. He said he got so sick of it. And
And how
I
long was
learned
that?
this.
How long was that on? 5 years? The
5 years,
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
six maybe. Oh,
Okay.
well, I think it was more like five
Okay.
and probably a quarter or something.
Okay.
I think it wasn't it 71 to 76.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but he said, well, for what I found out, uh, man, can't wait to get this book done. But anyways, uh, one of the producers, I think, said that it's another case. He honestly didn't care to know his lines after the first year,
Huh.
so he placed them everywhere. Like if you've seen him, like a lot of times in his apartment, canon is at like what is a counter, and he would be either eating a sandwich or
Right.
making some sort of drink. He he's actually looking down at his lines.
It's on his sandwiches.
Exactly, exactly,
What's in here?
exactly.
Let's see what's in my sandwich today. Oh,
Oh,
that's the next line.
have you ever seen the Benny Hill parody
Of
that he
Canon?
does of
Oh yeah.
Cannon?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, he nails it. He nails it.
Yeah.
Why he's on the Orient Express with the other detectives, I don't know, but it's funny.
Yeah.
It's
It
funny.
is. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
also the Cracked parody is really really good.
Yeah.
The Mad parody is okay,
Yeah. I
and
like the
I
Mad
didn't
parody
realize
only
this.
because Jack Davis drew it when he didn't do too many
Yeah,
parodies at that time.
right.
He did in the
But
early
did
days, but
did you
yeah, and go ahead.
was it crazy? Yeah, it was crazy. Was it the third or second issue? I can't remember, Mark. And we did the book, and I can't remember.
It's a fourth issue.
the
It's,
the kung. Oh, you know what I'm getting ready to talk about? Kung
yeah,
Fu
yeah. Well, Kung Fu is in the first issue, but the cover with
first issue.
Cannon is on the fourth issue, where it has all the detectives and Shaft is on
Yeah,
there with the gun. But
which I had.
Cannon's one of the ones he's stepping on or
Yeah.
whatever. So anyway.
Do you remember? You remember? I had to ask you who that was. That the older fella that was laying on the floor. I
Oh yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
figure out who it was,
yeah.
and it was Buddy Epson.
Yeah, Barnaby Jones. Well, it wasn't the best caricature, but I knew it was Barnaby Jones. Uh,
Well, in
yeah.
in the Kung Fu parody in the first issue, then who do you remember that they had Matt Dillon
Yeah,
and Cannon
yeah,
in it?
yeah.
And I didn't realize that until I don't know, I guess I was going through my files and I happened to see that in there. I go, whoa, wait a minute, that's Cannon. And uh, how brilliant was it to put Wayne Conrad as Cannon with Matt Dillon, who he played on the radio but
Right,
wasn't on
right.
the TV show.
I'm sure that was not coincidence. I'm sure they did that intentionally, you know. So,
Right, right. Which I forget the name of the
yeah.
writer of that particular parody because the fourth was it the fourth issue or the eighth issue is the one with Marv Wolfman's version of Kung Fu.
Seventh issue. Yeah, that's the reject issue.
Seventh,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
True,
yeah.
true. Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh
I
man.
have crazy kind of memorized, okay, but more than yeah, that was my first love,
I
as you know, so that's why,
well, I'm going to say, I mean, that was really great that we were able to do that. I've
Yeah,
always, like I told you, that was one of my dreams is to do a book on crazy.
yeah.
You
I didn't
know.
think I'd ever get to do one, It's like after I did Cracked and Mad, I figured nobody cares
Yeah,
about the other ones. It's my own personal passion to do that one, and then it worked out. So thank you too.
it did.
Uh,
Well, I
uh,
mean, it was fun.
yeah.
Um,
Oop, flip my
come
call.
together really quickly,
Yeah,
really quickly.
yeah. Unlike the plot book, but plot book was
Oh,
pretty quick too, but it was a little different. I think
I
you know,
I had I had I had fatigue
yeah,
from it. I think I'm not sure what issue
yeah,
started to get on my nerves, but the quality started going down. There wasn't as
yeah,
much weirdness about it. It
yeah.
was more superhero humor.
Yeah.
Humor.
I was always more of a crazy fan, but also I think what helped in our crazy book, I know everyone out there, we're really going off the, subject here,
That's
but,
okay.
buy the crazy book and you'll find out what we're talking about. But it's like, what was I going to say about it now? It was, uh, I had already kind of, as it were, done my homework. It's
Yeah,
like I had done interviews for back issues, so it was just, unlike where you're worried about, oh, can I get permission to do this and that, the other. They've already
yeah,
been published. I own the rights to them. So let's publish them again with new photographs and everything, and that's what we did. Of course, we did new
yeah.
interviews and stuff like that, but that's what made that book easy to do because a lot of it was
Right.
already written. Plop kind of went from scratch, but we did get some new interviews, and on every one of these books, I always say if we can't get a certain interview, it's not worth doing. And in the
Ah,
case of Plop,
well,
if we didn't get Sergio, I was like, oh, that's man, but we did. So,
no, well, you did. You
yeah.
did. I didn't.
Yeah. But
Um, but
and somebody well, and then the other one is like if we couldn't get on Crazy, if we didn't get Marv Wolfman, didn't get Larry Hama, and I just happened to have Paul Lakin, from the past, because he already
yeah,
passed away.
I was
Uh,
really surprised that we got Wolfman.
yeah,
But obviously, with the '70s, with the Bronze Age book, we must have done something right when we interviewed him because
yeah.
I sent him the email and he immediately, yes,
And I
crazy.
think and that's true. I think your book that you did on the Bronze Age Marvel stuff opened a lot of doors that we probably wouldn't have gotten those other
Well,
people. I mean, the people I interviewed before are all in the humor magazine bit. They weren't
yeah,
necessarily Marvel
right.
people, and you had all the Marvel people, and I go, well, good, we're halfway there. It's like,
Well,
uh,
also I think what helped, like you had said before, is we're doing a book on crazy, we're doing a book on plop, and there's stuff that, like you said, they weren't asked about that before.
yeah,
A lot of people want to ask Marv Wolfman about the new Teen Titans,
yeah,
but he's
yeah,
such a nice guy. I,
yeah,
I sent him an email, I think, about 4 or 5 months
well,
ago,
I
and
think
asked him about his
that's
health,
for
and
crazy.
he appreciated that.
Right. I think that's how we got Mike Carlin for is that his name? Mike
Yeah,
for Crazy because we weren't asking about Superman. It's like, and he talked about Superman a little bit, but it's like he was just thrilled to talk about something else for a change. And I get it. It's like if Gerber was still alive, he probably
Yeah.
would have been thrilled to talk about crazy rather than maybe
Oh yeah.
Howard the Duck or Man Thing or anything else. He probably would talk about that too, but it's like, you know, who remembers me on
Well,
Crazy? I only did 4 issues, or whatever.
well,
Yeah,
well. The thing about that, I we would have probably went crazy and then went around all that stuff and asked him about
of course.
writing for Daredevil.
Yeah.
Trying to think, did he do an Iron Man? He might have done an Iron Man.
Well, he
He
did a
did a
little of
lot of
he
the
did a little of everything,
yeah,
but his main ones were,
yeah.
of course, Howard the Duck and Man Thing and those type of things. But
But see, that's funny you say that because
Defenders, yeah.
the first real like celebrity type writer creator that I ever interviewed was Lansdale, Joe Lansdale,
Mhm.
about I don't know 10, 12 years ago, and I was so nervous about it, and I said I told him I said we can just skip all the where you're born and all the books you've done. We could go to the animations that you're writing now, and he goes, nah, let's go back. Just like I mean, he was
Yeah,
like, nah, ask
yeah,
me anything, I don't care.
yeah. Some people are
You
that
know,
way. Like when I interviewed Bill Morrison, now it
yeah.
was a touchy subject because I wanted to really talk to him about how he was fired from Mad, and it's like,
Oh, right.
it was I when that happened, I was already friends with him, but I waited a whole year before I actually contacted him because I figured that was probably a lifelong dream to be an editor of Mad and then lose it. So I didn't want
Yeah,
to bother him about it. But when I got the assignment to do the Mad book, I said, I got to get him in here. And so when I did interview him for this very podcast, before we went on, I said, I'm going to ask you about this. Are you okay with that? And he said, yeah. But
right,
what I
right.
found interesting, and I can say it now, is he proceeded to go through to talk with me about his entire career before he got to that point. And I think it was kind of like, I really don't want to talk about this, but if we go through and talk about all my work with Disney, The Simpsons, the Futurama, Roswell, blah, 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 then we can kind of get into the Mad thing and, you can kind of get your
Yeah.
questions in, and he did. He
Well,
came through. It was not very comfortable for him, but he did say it, and it did make the Mad Book because it was like it was a shock to me. I wish he was the editor now. I wish it's like it's silly
all
that they
right.
got rid of him, but eh.
Well, I mean, two things like it. Well, what about Kupperberg?
Yeah.
When you asked about his brother,
Oh,
you
yeah.
thought it was going to be all right. I thought it was too,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I
Well,
didn't take it as there was animosity between them. I think his death is still
yeah.
haunting him,
Yeah.
and,
And I
and
didn't continue that line of
well,
questioning, but it's like, yeah,
well, the thing
I
is that
uh,
it must have affected him so much that he blocked me
ooh,
on Facebook. So
I don't know about that, but eh,
whatever,
yeah.
whatever. But the other one is Wolfman. Uh,
Yeah.
I was afraid to ask him why he left editor in chief of Marvel,
Yeah.
and he was okay with it. He just said, "I didn't want to work for Cadence.
Yeah.
I didn't want to work for the parent company. I liked working for I can't even remember who it was before them. It
It
wasn't
was
Stan Lee's
it was
uncle.
Curtis, wasn't it? Or that was the design.
Yeah, Curtis. It might have
Okay.
been Curtis, and then it
Okay.
was Cadence.
Yeah.
And he said also it was more paperwork than creating. So why would I want that?
Yeah.
Which makes
Yeah.
sense because he had to do payroll
Yeah.
and he had to
Um,
fire people.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I know a lot of Marvel people from reading your books and stuff like that. They weren't very comfortable doing the real business stuff.
No,
It's
they
like,
wanted to be the kid,
yeah.
basically. They
Yeah.
don't want to be the grown up.
Yeah. And they didn't want to make people stick to the deadlines. They didn't want to hire and fire, you know.
Mm-mm.
They
Which
just
is
want
what what's his name ended up doing, who took over as
what
editor in chief.
Tom DeFalco? Yeah.
No, no, way
Oh.
before him.
Oh.
DeFalco succeeded him.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm losing.
Shooter? Jim Shooter? Yeah.
Shooter,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
supposedly everybody hated, and now that he's gone, you see people talking good about him. So
Yeah. Well, it's like going back to Mad again. Everybody seemed
yeah,
to hate Al Feldstein, but if it wasn't for Al Feldstein, there would have been no Mad. I mean,
Yeah,
it would have died because
yeah,
they needed some sort of hard-nosed person that knew what was good artistic wise, writing wise, humor wise.
right.
He might have been humorless himself, but he knew what was. And, he successfully ran for 30 years, and it was at its peak, so there's something to be
Well,
said.
I don't agree with what Terry Gilliam said that Feldstein was not a good editor for it, and it was a boring magazine.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah.
That's when I picked it up.
We wouldn't be talking about it, at least not in the
No,
same way. It would just be,
no,
oh, just another one of those EC ones that came out back in the early 50s, and
exactly,
it ended with the comics code, and that was the end of that. They never did anything further, so
absolutely,
anyway,
absolutely. Well,
wrapping this up,
wrapping it up.
let's get back to Nero Wolf. Just ask a couple more questions, but it's pretty much you answered everything I had. Um,
Yeah,
some of the things you added in the book, you had like original scripts and things. Were those again things you
yeah.
found online and stuff, or did you have them in your collection?
Some. No, I didn't have any in my collection.
Okay.
Some I found, like the auction house might have had, but most of them came from Lee Goldman,
Oh,
uh, and Sharon E. Doyle sent them to me,
oh, okay.
which was awesome.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I asked, I didn't know because I was like, I think I asked Sharon E. Doyle. I said, is there by any chance does anybody still have any of the scripts? Because I was thinking about that when I was going to do the canon book. And she goes, yeah, I've got a bunch of them. And she
Wow.
said, and they sent them to me, which was really nice, really
Yeah.
nice. She's been real nice to me lately. She sent me an email or a message on Facebook and said, "Have you ever been in contact with the Wolfpack, that website?" And I said, "Well, no, because I didn't really ask them permission if I could." I cited them as a source, and she
Yeah.
said, "I wouldn't worry about that." So they're just happy to be recognized.
Okay.
And so she started an email thread, which was the president and somebody else involved, and they're going to help promote this,
Yeah.
but I haven't
Well,
heard back,
I'd certainly send
and
him a
it's
copy.
fine if they
I'd
don't.
certainly send him a couple copies of the book at least. So, and just,
Well,
but
well, the one guy, well, actually, they asked for a PDF,
oh, okay. All right. So,
and the one guy asked me where he can get it, and I'd send him the links, and
all right.
he said, "I'm definitely buying it,"
All right.
but maybe they looked through it and they didn't like it.
Yeah. No, I thought it was
That
good.
would be
Yeah.
funny.
It was very thorough. You had lots of images. You loved the images, and I was like, wow, that's a lot.
The thing is, exactly, I need to cure that. I need to find a way to cure that, especially with the canon book, because it'd be 1,000 pages. But
Yeah.
uh, I have so much information
Yeah.
that I did for the canon book, and I go back to it, and then I go, geez, what am
Yeah.
I doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, it's 122, 125 episodes,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna get it done at some point.
All right. Well, I look
At
forward
some
to it,
point.
but to wrap this up, show the Nero Wolf book. Tell us how you can get it, and if they want to reach out to you, how they can talk to you.
All right. Well, you can get it from Bear Manor Media, who's the publisher. You can also get it on Amazon, and I suggest don't get the hardcover version.
Mm,
Apparently, because somebody had put some comments on Amazon and said that the photos looked not too good,
mm.
and I said, well, you should have gotten the paperback version
Okay. Okay.
or the PDF.
All right.
You can also find me on Facebook. So just I know there's probably like 4,000 Mark Slades as we find out, especially on Amazon. But
Yeah.
I'm not the guy who's the actor, and I'm not the guy who writes the erotic books. But you know,
Hey, I have that same claim to fame. I'm not the actor, and I'm not the one who acts in the erotic movies. No, anyway, I'm joking. But
actually, I think
there
I
is a
did.
Mark Arnold
Well,
actor. He's a soap opera actor, and he was on Santa Barbara and Edge of Night, and he was in Teen Wolf and
really?
everything. Yeah, he's about 10 years older than me, so
Well,
he's the famous Mark
that's
Arnold. Anyway,
that's kind of awesome. He was on Santa Barbara.
yeah,
I probably know him.
yeah. He has
Well,
dark
he's on
hair,
Edge
or
of
he did
Night.
have dark hair. I think it's gray now, but he's, he's
Yeah.
almost 70. So it's like, there we go.
Oh, right, right.
Anyway, all right. Well, Mark, it's always a pleasure to
Thanks.
talk to you. It's always a pleasure to work with you. We'll be talking again, of
Oh, yeah.
course, when our
Well,
plot book's coming out.
I'm gonna I'm gonna put you on the spot.
All right.
I think we should do another book, and I'm gonna pitch it to you.
Okay.
You ever read Cartoons Magazine?
I have.
We ought to do it
All right.
at
Well,
some point. At
we
some
could talk.
point.
Well, I'll tell you, I know somebody
Yeah.
who is
We probably
interview
know the same guy.
yeah, who's interviewed a lot of people. Also, his name is Chet
Oh,
Reams. Chet Reams. He's interviewed a lot of the people
mm,
that have
I'm
worked
not
at
sure.
cartoons over the years, and
Okay.
it might
Do
be.
I know him?
Well,
Hmm.
he is on their current staff because the magazine came back, right? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Mark, I've got him in my contacts
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
We were like texting back and forth.
yeah,
He wanted me to try to get an interview with the wife of the was it Peterson
yeah,
that used to own.
yeah.
I tried. He gave me her email, but she never got back to
Mm,
me, which is similar to my problem with Canon. I can't get any interviews. They're all either dead or in
right.
old folks' homes, or
Yeah,
some of them. Like I almost got Martin Sheen,
yeah.
but he decided not to.
Oh,
I think his nephew emailed me back and said well, he's not too crazy about talking about the past. And I was like, okay,
oh,
I get it.
Charlie Sheen just wrote a book. You could probably get.
Hey,
And
I
did a
wouldn't.
doc
I
and
wouldn't
did a
mind.
documentary. It's actually pretty
Yeah,
good. Anyway.
I watched him being interviewed by Rogan,
Hmm.
and it was actually a pretty good interview. It's funny. He even said that his dad and mom do not have cell phones. They still have regular phones and a machine
Yeah.
to record the
Well,
message
that's my
machine.
dad. My dad still has a landline. He does have
No,
a cell phone only
yeah,
because his girlfriend, who does have a cell phone, bought him one, but he never uses it. He never carries it around. I said, "What's the point?" Anyway.
well,
So, but he
I gotta
likes his
say,
landline, and I get it. But it's like,
well, if I didn't have to do all this communication, I'd probably be all right with not having one because
yeah, yeah,
I feel so much lighter without it in my pocket.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But anyways,
All right, we will talk soon. We'll probably talk about
all
cartoons
right,
and anything else we want to talk about. And you know, I,
okay.
I hope you're
Well,
doing. I hope you're doing
you
well.
might
And
be you might be interviewing me and Chauncey and Lothar at some points. We're trying to do a interview book with horror writers.
ooh, cool.
Um, Horror writers, mostly from the 80s and 90s, but there's some new ones. We've already got Nancy A. Collins committed, Richard Christian Matheson's committed, and Joe Lansdale, of course. Once they see Joe Lansdale on the list, they're like, "Sure, I'll do it." We
Yeah,
got
yeah.
Steve Niles. Steve Niles, he said he's going to do it. I already emailed him his questions. He wants to do written. It'll be interesting. I'm
Oh,
throwing in some censorship questions, which I like to do.
right. Oh, are you still publishing your magazine too?
Yeah, yeah, we're
Okay,
still doing Twisted Pulp.
okay. All right.
Chauncey is still battling, his cancer and making it through. He's doing pretty good, having two bouts with it,
Mm,
and he's on some chemo that makes him forget some stuff, which is okay. But we'll do it until you know the three of us aren't either interested or not here.
cool.
So, you know.
Well, I hope it's not interested versus not here. Okay. All right. You can.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Mark, and we will talk with
Thank
you
you.
soon,
I
and
appreciate you doing this.
and Chauncey and everyone else, and uh, we will talk soon. I don't know how to wrap this up. I just keep talking. So anyway, this is Mark Arnold with another Fun Ideas podcast, and we will see you next time.
All right.